Hello, my name is Nathan Wells. I'm a missionary with Action International Ministries. I've served in Cambodia for over 20 years and work in translation. Computers have had a huge impact in how translations are done throughout the world, both with accuracy but also with speed. When I went to Cambodia first around 20 years ago and began to be involved in translation, I saw that there weren't really many tools for the Khmer language, like spelling checker or grammar checker, just kind of basic things that we're used to as English speakers. And so we began creating tools as a team, created a spelling checker, created a grammar checker to help us. And as we translated materials to be consistent, to do things with excellence, and really show that when someone would pick up a book that we translated, they could see that we took care in what we translated because the message that we were translating was really important. It was about Jesus and the gospel, um, and so as we've continued on that path, and with AI now coming to the forefront of all, it seems like there's always something new. We began to kind of see and research as a team how can we utilize AI to help us and help us improve our translations, but also increase the speed at which we translate materials. And so we began creating tools internally as a team, and we've come up what we think are some great ways to utilize AI. And so it kind of came to the place where we thought maybe others would like to use these tools as well. So I launched a website called translatortoolkit.com. Just has 3 tools right now that utilize AI. But I do think that this is a great way to use AI. And our goal is that we would be able to translate more materials that are Christ-centered, helping build the church and God's kingdom throughout the world, specifically for us in Cambodia. But we hope that these tools will be useful to others as well. So I'm excited to show you translatortoolkit.com. It contains some tools that we as a team in Cambodia used internally and created internally. And now we thought maybe there's enough tools and enough value that others would want to use them in their translation ministries as well. So we created a website, translatortoolkit.com, using AI as well. It's amazing the things you can do, how quickly you can come up with just usable tools. Things that would have taken months before now can just be done in a couple of days. So we hope this is helpful. I'll log in. You can create an account, and then we'll go through each of the 3 tools that we currently have. So first I'll log in. So when you first log in, you'll need to add your OpenAI API key. The tools we have here in our website, everything's free to use, but you do have to pay for the usage of OpenAI's API, which is basically interacting with ChatGPT through a web interface rather than through OpenAI's ChatGPT website. So there's no cost to the tools, but you have to pay for your API usage yourself. So you'll put your API key here, paste it. You can add your default source language, which in this case is English. Default target language is Khmer, and then your default model. Recommend GPT for O because of that currently is the best model for what we're doing. Then we can go ahead and look at the different tools. So the first tool I'm actually most excited about is the translation checker. This basically works as an editor, looking at a document that you already translated and finding problems with the translation. So if you configure it already in your settings here, it will fill out your source language and target language. You can also modify if you're doing a different language. And then you drag your source document, which would be the English in this case, and then the target document that's already been translated into your target language. So let's do that here. I just have some small samples. So we'll do the English here, and then the Khmer document here. And depending on the length of the translation, it obviously takes more time if it's a longer document. And I've also noticed some speed issues with OpenAI. Sometimes their servers are just running faster. But what the first step is it aligns the English with the target language of Khmer and checks to make sure that all the paragraphs are aligned. And then once it's done with that, it will begin checking to see if the matched sentences are, a good translation of the source document. Once the analysis is complete, it will let you know how many paragraphs were checked and how many issues it found, and you can download the review document here. When we open up the review document, you'll see that there's comments like this, and that's where the AI checker found an issue. Like for example, in this place, Swangrop at that pergyawak nekaditan. This is like find uh, the meaning or the benefit of prayer, but it's suggesting maybe a better one would be tutul squall, like recognize, which is more faithful to the English, right? So it's just a suggestion. You can delete them. In my case, I add a comment normally of my own thoughts. But yeah, it's just an easy way to begin the editing process. I wouldn't recommend just relying on this alone, but it's a great tool to kind of begin that process. And yeah, so that's the AI translation checker. The next one is the document modernizer. Now, this one is actually more about front translation. So sometimes if you're translating an old text, like our team did Confessions by Augustine, and we used a public domain text, which was, fairly old, utilized Old English. And so this is a great way to utilize ChatGPT's technology to modernize. We don't remove the source, but we add another column in a Word document with a modernized text. So let's just do this and I'll show it to you. This is a modern already text, so it's not going to be as not be as clear as far as what it did, but you'll see visually what it did. All right, and we can download it. And then we can open the file. All right, so what you see is here's the original on this side and then modernized on this side. It does make mistakes, so we have an English editor go through and double check that things make sense. But you'll notice in this one, because it's not Old English, most things are the same. But like in this case, give thanks to God is saying express gratitude to God, trying to give the direction of the action to try to help a translator. Especially most translators speak English as their second language, and so having a simplified document can sometimes help. Still, they're translating the original, but it helps them when they don't understand the nuance of the English text. They can read the modernized version and then gain understanding of what they're translating. So this can really help in making sure translations are accurate. And then the third tool is a TMX generator. A TMX is a translation memory file. These files can be used in a lot of different ways. One of them is just like with a tool like Crowdin. It's basically a dictionary or glossary of terms based on translation. Here's the English, there's the Khmer, the target language. And you can use this as you translate, but you also can use them to, in the future, or even now, depending on your language, to train an AI model to help you actually translate the language, translate your documents using AI. For us, it hasn't worked too well because Khmer isn't an extremely popular language, and so AI has some understanding, but not good enough to do the actual translation. But we hope in the future that by generating basically translation memory of all our past translations, we can then utilize that to train a model of our own that will do a good job of actually translating stuff. So we can do this here just like we did before, something that's already translated, and then we can generate a TMX file. And that can then be imported into a tool like Crowdin or any other tool that you use. So that's a translator toolkit, and we do hope that it's useful to others. We know that so much is changing in the world with AI, and we don't want to be afraid, but also we want to utilize AI in a way that allows us to be faithful as we translate, not becoming lazy in our translation, but really utilizing the tool to help us uh, to the best possible ways of creating accurate translations that are understandable, and also allows us to produce more resources than we could in the past. Thank you.